Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. And yes, this is a failure video, and it's a failure based on what I had others do for me. The machinist, I only had the machinist do a couple of things for me, and everything was terrible. He was in business for 38 years. I don't know how, because you'll see in this video, the Time-Sert that he installed was wrong. It was all stripped when he installed it. You know, he faked it. I thought I'd go ahead and upload the fail video because I don't know if there's going to be another video, right? Because I've taken the cover off. That's right. You know, everything's sitting right here. We're starting all over. All the work that I did was all wasted because of an incompetent machinist. I paid big money for that because I didn't feel comfortable doing it, right? I've never done it before. So I thought, you know, why not go seek out a professional? I called everywhere. Nobody would look at my engine. No one's going to look at your 560 SL. If they do, be really careful because they don't know what they're doing. These cars are unique. I mean, a Time-Sert is something that a machinist should know how to do, right? Well, they don't. Obviously, this machinist doesn't. I'm putting his information right here so you guys know to never, ever use this machinist here in Arizona. The guy is totally incompetent. So that's where we are right now. This video will show you. I mean, I put everything together that, you know, I dread every single step in this rebuild because you don't know what's going to happen. And if you get someone to help you, you know they're going to be incompetent. So what they do for you is going to be screwed up. And then when you get to that point, you're going to fail. You can see people fail left and right with these cars. I don't know if it's the cars that are jinxed or the idiots that are trying to work on them. All right? This thing stripped at 13 Newton meters. I mean, it just kept spinning. In other words, 13 Newton meters is what it took to spin it. You'll be able to see in the hole that the Time-Sert, I mean, I just took it right out, right? I mean, can you take out a Time-Sert? If you take out a Time-Sert, you know something's definitely wrong, right? So I'm bitching because I deserve to be able to bitch. You know, I'm sick and tired of incompetent people. It's the whole reason why I started this project in the first place, because you can't find anybody that knows what the heck they're doing. And if they say they know what you're doing, be really careful because they think they know what they're doing, and chances are they don't. It doesn't matter. 38 years in business, right? Self-employed. How in the world did that guy survive for 38 years? My God, I've never treated a customer like that. If I did something wrong, my customer would know, and I would make it right, or I would just buy the guy a no block, do whatever it takes to make it right. But no, I want you guys to look at the heads. The head, right here, I'm putting a link to the heads. When we reviewed the head work that the guy did. Terrible. I had to redo it. There's another video for that. Yes, deburring the cylinder head. I had to deburr because this guy didn't complete the job. And I paid a lot of money for that. You guys will see, I think I've given this guy close to $1,000 to do the few little things that he did. I could have just bought one of these blocks for $1,000. I could have done so much more with $1,000. You could buy a whole head for $1,000, and I paid him like $600 and something dollars. You know, you try to do things right, but you can't, right? Because you're not the only one involved. That's all there is to it. Even when I order parts directly from Mercedes, they come and they're not really genuine Mercedes parts. You know, I bought bolts, and you can tell that the bolts are not from Mercedes. I mean, it's not real Mercedes. Some of them are. Like I ordered them all at once. 6 of the bolts are the right zinc-plated bolts. This is Peter. Peter, hey, Peter. You know, he knows what's going on because I've been consulting with him with the nonsense of this vehicle and the nonsense of the manual, the nonsense of this whole project. So right now, I don't know if I'm going to continue. You know, this should have been done a long time ago. There's no doubt about it. It should have been done a long time ago. All my roadblocks have been because of others. I don't know if this can be repaired. It's going to take a bigger tap now So we have to go oversized, and then so I don't really know what to do next, or if I really want to do next. You know, you guys already know I'm totally frustrated with the car. Every step of the way, it's caused me a lot of grief. So that's where I'm at right now. If you don't see another video, it's because I quit. That's all there is to it. You know, you can't put together an engine that you can't put together. You know, you can't do it. It's just impossible. I recommend you guys don't buy one of these cars. Do not buy one of these cars. It's not worth it. Really, there's so much more you can do with your life, right? This whole year and a half, year plus that I've been working on this car has been wasted, really. You know, there's so many other things I could have done with family, right? I could have maybe traveled. There's things I could have done. My wife told me to just call the charity and have them just take the car away. But, you know, even they don't want it because they want a running car. So, you know, I didn't do that. So I offered this car out to you guys for virtually nothing, and nobody wants it. I don't blame you. You know, you have to be a special person to want one of these. And if you want one, don't. So that's where I'm at. I really don't know if I'm going to continue. I really want this thing out of my garage. It's just a big old headache. You know, I'm not getting any younger. You know, I'm physically drained. So that's where I am on this project. Let's go ahead and I'm going to present what I did today. This all happened today. It took me this long to get today. You know why? Because the manual doesn't include all the torque specs. You know, I don't want to over torque, right? So we made sure that we did not do that. You know, so that took forever. You don't know what's going on with these damn cars. There's, you know, and then people say, oh, you know, when you put on a water pump, because that's what I started with, that's what this video is kind of about. I started with the water pump, and you know, there's guys that say put grease on the gasket. There's guys that say no, don't put grease. Put RTV, right? Both sides, RT. You'll see that in the video as well. There's guys that say use Vaseline. There's guys that say use oil. You know, blah 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 blah. Mechanics cannot agree on anything. When a mechanic, this is, you know, I'm not a mechanic, so I can tell you how I see mechanics. I see a mechanic does something. If it fails, he don't ever do that again. He don't know why maybe that it failed. He just knows it failed, and he's not going to do it that way again, okay? Then, once he does something successful, that's what he does, and he'll continue to do that time and time again. Never think outside the box, but that's the only way that they want to do it, and every other way is wrong. Go look at the forums. Just look, you know, about dressing your gaskets, you know. They do make gasket grease. Yes, they do. You know, they make silicone. They make RTV. You know, RTV is really for things that don't have gaskets, you know, but there's people that put it on there. There's people that swear to put it on dry. And I can tell you what, one thing I have done is change water pumps. Anyone who's ever worked on cars, I guarantee you've changed a water pump. In my BMW, the water pump's not attached to anything. It's just a loose little box that pumps. Yes, smart, right? These mechanical water pumps are junk because, you know, everything's affixed to the car and to the timing chains and so many things that can go wrong. But my Toyota, I changed that, right? I've changed that. I've changed it in Chevys. I've changed it in Fords. I've changed it in Hondas, right? I've done that, and I've done it with using Vaseline, for example, or oil, and I've done it without. And you know what? Both ways worked for me. That's right, both ways worked, and I can tell you that's the way I do it. But it's not the way I do it. That's why I did it both ways. Both of those methods work. Chances are if I put RTV on there, it'll work too. The problem is I don't know where that RTV is going to go once it's in there. And if you ever looked at a radiator and see the little fins and all that kind of stuff, anything can get in there and clog that thing up. I have a brand new radiator. Why would I want to do that? All right. I've bitched enough, but now you guys know where we're at. You know that whether or not I'm coming back and doing any more videos, I just don't know. Because he screwed this thing up. He drilled it. I don't even think it's drilled straight. So, you know, it's going to take really, the right way to do this is that you have a drill set up that is on a stand. You know, and I worked in a steel shop before, and we had special drills that would sit on our blocks of metal so everything's at a 90 degrees and all that kind of stuff, right? It's like big magtrons on it, you know, magnets that clamp. This is aluminum, so you can't use that. But the right way to do it is that you have to align this up, like on some special CNC or something like that, where everything is lined up so you drill the hole perfect. Then you go ahead and drill your threads. And you got to make sure you get a good amount of thread, right? That's where this guy failed. All right, Peter. All right, I better get back and see what he's talking about. He's probably saying, oh, don't take off the front cover. I got another way to do it. All right, you guys. So that's where I'm at. If you guys want to watch this video and see how this thing failed, good for you. All right, give me a thumbs up and then why don't you guys all complain to that machine shop? Tell them what lousy work they do. All right, you guys. Well, if there's a next one, there'll be one, but I'm not so sure. Thanks for watching. So this is how this would go, and you can see this thing is kind of right there, right? I mean, you can fit it in here, but why fight it, right? Why fight this? So I think we need to put this on first. So I'm going to remove this and flip it over, and we'll get started. So this here is the old water pump, and I want you to know there was no sealant used on this side of the pump. That's the gasket. This did not leak. There was really nothing wrong with it. It's a little rough, I think. But we busted these two bolts, or I did, you know. It's probably my own fault. I just kept taking it out. You can see that in the video where I removed the water pump. And, you know, you got to ease it in, ease it out, ease it in, ease it out, and try to get it all the way out. But these two broke, so we repaired the block. I don't want this to happen again. So I'm going to be using anti-seize, this Permatex anti-seize on just about a pea size, about the size of a pea on the leading edge of each one of the bolts before I put it in. So that's one thing I'm going to do different than the manual says. The manual doesn't say anything other than, you know, the torque settings, which is 25 Newton meters for all of these. All right, but we're not going to use this pump, and I'm not going to use any of these bolts or washers or anything. All right, so this is the new water pump. I've already talked about it. I already have all the new bolts on it. I have them all tied up just to protect everything. But if you'll notice, this side of the pump is very smooth. It looks great. So I'm going to install the gasket, which is genuine Mercedes, instead of the one that came with the pump. I'm going to actually use the Mercedes. Well, let me get this cleaned up and get the bolts out, and then we'll get ready to get this installed. All right, let's get this peeled away and cleaned up. I need to take these bolts out. These are the ones I put on temporarily for when I put on the cover. But I want to take those off, make sure the surface is nice and clean. I'm going to use these things as a guide, just like I did with the other one. Anything to help. All right, well, let's start the conversation. So this is the manual. I've kind of put it all on one page. Okay, this is a coolant pump. And you can see the torque settings. It says the coolant pump, the timing case covers 25 Newton meters. These are all the parts and everything involved. The installation says just clean it and tighten it to 25 Newton meters. And that's about it. Now over here on the right, it says consider getting a new European-made aftermarket water pump. Well, you guys know what I got in my other video. And we're using the genuine Mercedes gasket. And then the master mechanic says to put RTV on both sides of the gasket. I've never done that. So, you know, I've changed a lot of water pumps in my day, believe it or not. And I've never done that, so I'm not going to do that. There's, you know, RTV is one thing some people use. Oil is another thing people use. Some people even use this on their gaskets, believe it or not. Some people even spit on them before they put them on to make them stick. So I don't care what anyone else does or doesn't do. This wasn't leaking when I took it apart. So there was no sealant on either side. So I say no sealant. One of the reasons to put oil on the back side of your gasket, really, is only because it'll make it easier if you have to remove it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and oil it, put some oil on it, try to put it on these bolts to begin with, and then we'll go from there. There we go. All right, oil on both sides of that. Well, let's see if we can get this lined up. That sure makes it easier, I tell you. I want to put antices on the leading edge. I want you to see what I put on there, just a little bit right on the leading edge. Same thing. Now remember, these are different sizes, so you have to pay attention. I have all mine labeled. All right, now we're ready to start torquing. Well, as I mentioned, it's 25 Newton meters. However, you'll notice there's different color bolts here. Or maybe you won't notice, but this bolt and this one are like zinc. They're not these white kind of ones. These ones are 25 Newton meters, and then these two are going to be 20 Newton meters only because they're a different DIN. Mercedes, I bought all these from Mercedes, genuine Mercedes bolts. And these appear to be genuine Mercedes bolts, but this one and this one are not. So Peter, who I kind of feel is an expert at all these DIN, you know, DIN 58 or 91 or whatever the heck all the different ratings are, he just knows a lot about it. So I trust him over the manual. Let's put it that way. I trust him over the manual. So I'm going to try to cinch everything down to begin with. I'm just going to bring them down to 10, so I do it all even. And then I'll go 15. And then I will go 20 for sure on these two. And then I'm probably, around 20. And I'm going to go do these just like I did the cover at about 24, roughly. I've been researching this for days, how people put on water pumps, whether or not they grease it with a grease or they use Vaseline. That's another way you can do it. You can use engine oil, which is the way that I did it, or you can put it on dry. In my years past on different vehicles, not Mercedes, but on Toyota, and that's pretty much the only other vehicle I pretty much had was Toyota and Honda. I've done it both ways. I've done it with putting oil on it, and I've done it dry, and I had success both ways. I'm not going to tell you how to put yours on. I'm just showing you how I put mine on. All right, I've got this set at 15 Newton meters to begin with. I'll set it at about 10. All right, so now I'm going to go 15. 15.3. 15.3. 15.2. Yeah, it's stripped. See, it won't even go over 13. Yeah, that's exactly what I figured was going to happen. All right, well, there you go. The only work I had done by the machinist, right? And that's what you got. I don't see any metal shavings. All right, I've got it loose, so let's see what we got to do here. Let's look at our seal job, huh? Might as well evaluate it, see what you guys think. This all looked really good. It's hard to say, but you can see on the block, it's all the way there. Nothing got into the oil galleries. Just a little bit of bleed on the inside, not much. Nothing in here could use more. Oh, look at this. That one's coming out. That's the one. Look at that. It's just spinning. Have to see what we can do about that. So there's that great work performed by the machinist. Time-Sert's basically out already. Well, let's take that out. I'm going to use one of these tools because it's just there. Yep, it works. It doesn't even seem like it's in straight even. What terrible work. This is a machinist that's been in business for 38 years. And this is the kind of work that he did for me. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. It's just terrible work. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh my God. I don't even know what's going on here. So you can see that's supposedly a Time-Sert. My God, it's completely stripped. What terrible work. Just terrible. This one here is probably no better. These are the two that he did. This one and that one. And this is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of work he got right there. We'll look at that in a minute, but what I want to show you, it's not even round. You can tell. Look at that. Right? That's not good. So that's the kind of work, you know, that I paid big money for. See that? All the threads are basically just completely stripped out. It was not done correctly, of course, right? Not done correctly. See that? Thank you, machinist.